This is the Big Island, Channel 6, Hawaii at its best.
This is Weekly Highlights, where now we're sitting poolside of King David Kalakaua's bathing pool that can be found right here in the grounds of the beautiful Keauhou Beach Hotel. Time now to bring in Reed Flickinger. Tonight, he'll be discussing the subject of rising insurance rates with two of West Hawaii's lawyers on Issues and Insights.
Hello and good evening. This is Issues and Insights, and I'm Reed Flickinger, your host and moderator. Tonight we're going to talk about tort laws. Well, in the recent months, you may have gotten a new insurance claim that's come through and realized that suddenly your insurance rates are going up 23%, 25%, maybe more. And you're asking yourself, why? Well, it's a question of insurance companies, liability, and rising costs that the legislature itself is looking into. With us here tonight, we have two attorneys from West Hawaii, Mr. Gary Hagerman, who specializes in insurance defense, and Mr. Lawrence Cohn, who specializes in plaintiff personal injury cases. Now, basically, Mr. Cohn, if the cost of insurance keeps going up and we are required to pay more and more, can that be tied in directly to tort laws?
First of all, I disagree with you that the costs are actually going up. I think the insurance companies would have us believe that costs are going up when actually they're not. As far as the tort laws, I believe that the tort laws that we've had for the last 200 years are fine and they work fine, and that we should keep them and improve upon them as we have been doing.
I see. Now, Mr. Hagerman, basically a tort law is a personal wrong or injury that is personal private but is not a breach of contract. Now, is that a fair assumption of a tort law?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, now in your practice, you represent the insurance companies who defend cases. In West Hawaii, we have a case which is now before the courts where an attorney is seeking from a resort more than $2 million because of a death which happened after a person was allegedly drinking intoxicating liquors and because of too much intoxication perhaps died. Now, why is this perhaps improper, or do you think it is proper to have that sort of financial settlement?
Well, the law provides that someone who is injured through no fault of their own, especially, should recover from someone who has been negligent or has done some other tort. In the type of case that you bring up, it involves a person who was drinking at the bar and then went off and got into an accident. It's a very interesting legal question whether the drinker can recover against the bar. I think all the courts agree that if that drinker runs into a third party, an innocent third party, that party may sue not only the drinking driver but also the bar. But that case raises a question of whether he should recover, and this brings up one of the biggest points that I find problem with in today's tort law, is that people feel that they should recover for every injury, whether it's their fault or somebody else's.
Okay. Would you agree with Mr. Cohn that insurance rates are not going up because of existing tort laws?
No, I would disagree with him. It's very difficult, and I know Larry has the same problem as we all do, in really pinning down insurance companies as to what they're paying out of the dollars that they bring in. But I think one point we cannot avoid is that insurance companies are leaving the state of Hawaii, and they are refusing to do insurance where they used to do it before. I mean, you can bring up all kinds of arguments, but if somebody leaves the block and says, I'm going to take my business elsewhere, to me that means it's not a good deal for them, and I think they're in a bind as we are.
Mr. Cohn, basically, if a person is killed in an accident, is it fair to seek a large sum of money such as that? There has been in the press cases where, for instance, a man in New York City allegedly jumped in front of a subway train in an attempt to commit suicide. He survived and then attempted to sue that New York subway system because the driver allegedly didn't stop fast enough. Is that fair?
The facts, as you've stated them, are probably not fair. However, I'd like to hear the real facts of the case. There have been several magazines and newspapers that have been reporting these so-called horror stories where seemingly plaintiffs are recovering for things that they shouldn't. However, I have a a magazine article myself in which the editor went and called the attorneys who actually tried the cases or were involved in the cases if they didn't go to trial. And most of these types of, quote, horror stories are not true and weren't reported properly. So it's really hard for me to respond unless I hear all the facts.
I see. Well, you said that the tort laws were not the cause for rising insurance rates. Would you care to speculate on what might attribute to that if it's not the rising legal cost and the growing litigiousness of our society?
Well, I firmly believe that it is the insurance companies themselves in the property and casualty fields that have manufactured this so-called insurance crisis in order to make more profits. And the way they make more profits is to destroy the system that causes them to have to pay money out. And so I don't believe that from the facts and figures that I've reviewed that there is an actual crisis other than what the insurance companies are manufacturing themselves.
I see. Mr. Hagerman, since you deal with the insurance companies, now you said that more and more insurance companies are leaving the state. Recently we have heard that the county of Hawaii is seeking self-insurance on many of its vehicles in government service, and we hear about cities across the country self-insuring. Does this tie in with existing tort laws?
Yes, the insurance companies are afraid to do business because they see the rising cost of verdicts that juries are handing down. I think I specialize in medical malpractice defense work, and according to the statistics that I've read, I think they were in Time magazine as well, in 1975 the average medical malpractice verdict was something like $250,000. In 1985 the average verdict is over $1 million, and it's an incredible jump. And the insurance companies, when they see unpredictable losses up ahead, they're not about to risk their money even more than we would.
I see. Now, let me ask each of you, I'll start with Mr. Cohn, what is fair in terms of a reward for somebody who is injured? What would you, offhand, not having any specific case, say is fair and equitable in a case where there is an injury involved?
Depends on the injury. The way we attorneys evaluate these types of cases is, one, we take a look to see who's at fault and whether or not we can prove it and how hard it would be to say who's at fault. And then we take a look at the injuries to find out, A, if you can prove fault, B, are the injuries sufficient enough to sustain a certain monetary verdict. So if the person is paralyzed, say from the neck down, and is 15 years old and is going to need nursing care 24 hours a day for the rest of his projected life, which would be, say, 72 years old, you multiply the cost of the medical care times the amount of years that that person has left to live, and you're going to get quite a bit of money, and it'll be run into millions of dollars. However, a person cuts his finger from falling down, the value of the case would be a lot lower. So I think just to sum up, the value of the case really depends on what a jury of 12 people see it as according to the injuries.
That sounds very reasonable. Mr. Hagerman, do you see that reasonable explanation as being actual practice in the cases which you've observed?
For a good part, yes. I think in a case where someone has been injured as a result of somebody's negligence, that their medical bills, future medical bills, which can be run into millions of dollars if they're a paraplegic or quadriplegic, they should be taken care of. One of the biggest issues is how much can you allow a jury to award for pain and suffering?
I see.
And some of the states, like California and other states, have passed a limit on pain and suffering on the theory that you can never really compensate someone enough. And some of these juries that come back with multi-millions of dollars of verdicts, that money's got to come from somewhere.
Okay, gentlemen, we're almost out of time. I'd like to allow each of you a chance to make a closing statement and summarize your opinion if you wish. Mr. Cohn.
Yes, in summary, I would just like to say that the tort laws that we've been living with for the last 200 years have worked fine all the way up till this year. And this past year, all of a sudden, there's this insurance crisis. There was one in 1975 also that went away after the insurance companies got some legislation passed and the interest rates went up. As long as interest rates stay up, the insurance companies' investments are doing well, they are making money, and they don't care that much about their premiums.
I see. Thank you. Mr. Hagerman.
Well, it's a lot of factors that have come to this crisis point. I think some part of tort reform is necessary to talk about a restriction on legal fees, other things, and perhaps there are too many lawyers today that are taking on cases that they really shouldn't take on. That's our problem. But I think the main thing is that people have got to get away from the idea that if anything wrong happens to them, they've got to sue someone. A lot of things we do are stupid enough, and let's not try to blame it on somebody else.
Thank you for being with us tonight, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us. We're interested in your opinions on tort reform and the insurance crisis, so write to us at Issues and Insights, Box 715, Kealakekua, Hawaii 96750. And in the weeks ahead, we may share with our viewers your opinions on tonight's subject. Thank you and good night.
We welcome any comments or suggestions you may have regarding Issues and Insights, and we ask that you mail your letters in. We'll be giving you that address once more in just a moment. But first, let's turn to our community billboard to find out what's ahead for West Hawaii. As a benefit fundraiser, the Kauikeaho'oli Canoe Club will present Olomana, Ikona, and Frank Hewitt in concert at the Hotel King Kamehameha on Sunday, May 25th at 8 p.m. Tickets from club members are $7 advance or $8 at the door. The next production for the Kona Community Players will be The Girl in the Freudian Slip on May 30th and 31st and June 6th and 7th, 8 p.m. at the Aloha Theater. For ticket information, you may call 329-6464. The next Big Island Ocean Fair is set for May the 31st in Kauai High at the Kauai High Canoe Club site. This presentation is being coordinated by the Waimea Hawaiian Civic Club. Dial 929-7169 for more information. The Kona Junior Tennis Association will be holding a steak fry fundraiser on June 1st at 12 noon at the Old Airport Pavilion. Proceeds will help support their upcoming summer tournaments. Call 329-8904 for more information. In celebration of King Kamehameha, the King Kamehameha Day Parade is set for June the 7th, 10 a.m. in Kailua Village. That will be followed by a Ho'olaulea at 12 noon, and much more activities are planned for this festive annual celebration. Call 322-3000 for all the details. And the Kona Elks 6th Annual Charity Jackpot Fishing Tournament is set for June 6th, 7th, and 8th right here in Kona. Monies raised from this event will go towards local charities, and if you'd like to participate, dial 329-2616. If you would like to post your event on our billboard, we ask that you send in all the details 3 weeks in advance to Community Billboard, Box 715, Kealakekua, Hawaii 96750, and keep that address handy in case you want to respond to Issues and Insights. So that's going to wrap it up for this evening. Again, we come your way every Wednesday evening, running from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. with a brand new and updated version of Weekly Highlights, and we hope you can join us. Thanks a lot for watching, and good night.